How's it going, guys? It's Najam. Welcome back to another video. In this video I'm gonna go ahead and unbox the TinHiFi T5, and I'm also gonna go ahead and review them. Before we start, these were sent in by TinHiFi for me to review, and this is the box. Okay, so these are the TinHiFi T5. So these apparently have a new dynamic driver, and I'm really interested in seeing and finding out how these sound. Let's go ahead and take a look inside here. So you have a very nice case, which is a hard case, is very nice. You have the cable here, which I guess I'll have to use this one because I don't think these are using MMCX connectors. That's fine. And you have some ear tips. Okay, and you have the usual boring stuff, and then you also have a lot of other ear tips, and this is apparently has fallen out a bit. You do have some other ear tips that these come with, and you have the cleaning tool as well as I don't know what that is. Let's go ahead and take these out and take a look at them. Okay, so these are built out of metal. They are very cold to the touch. So as you can see, they are built out of metal, and they're a little thick as well, so they will sit in your ear very comfortably. I'll have to go ahead and try these out, and then I'll obviously give you guys the review. Check out the cable. So I've actually reviewed the TinHiFi P1s in the past, which are really nice. I also really like the cable that came with them. So this cable, to me honestly, it doesn't seem all that very nice. The sound quality is a little, different. I don't know how this will affect the sound quality in any way. I'll have to go ahead and check it out. But I don't have any third-party cables to actually compare this cable against, so I can't really say for sure. What I do like is that it is a very flexible cable. So yeah, I mean, I'll be using these with my Hugo 2, and I'll also use them with some other devices that I have as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a jump cut, and I'll be back after about a week or so of using them, and I'll let you guys know how they sound and everything. So I've been using these for about a week or so now. I'm just going to go ahead and get them out of the hard case that they come in. And this is a very nice case. It's a hard case. It's looks to be leather, and it feels very nice. I'll just put that to the side, and I'll go ahead and show you guys a little close-up. We'll take a look at the design and everything, and we'll also get into the sound quality. So they're built out of metal, and I do think that these have a really beautiful looking design. They do look really nice. So these are made out of metal, and as you can see, it's starting to get some steam on there because from the heat of my fingers. And here's the right side as well, and that's got some steam on there as well now. So these are cold to the touch when you get them out of the box and everything. The build quality is really good. They're built really well. They use a 2-pin connector, so you can get replacement cables. Go ahead and look at the specs on their website and all for more details on that. So design wise, I do really like them. They do look really nice. Now the other thing is the comfort is absolutely amazing. These are probably one of the most comfortable in-ear monitors I have ever tried, and they are really good. when it comes to the comfort. And also, along with the comfort, as you can see, they are a little big. They're shaped very well. They'll fit into the ear. These do have a really good noise isolation and sound isolation, so they're really good in that regard as well. The cable itself that they come with, this is the only cable I have that I can use with them. I'll have to say what I do like about this is that it's very flexible, but that's about it. As far as the quality goes, I think it does hinder the sound quality, and I have heard from other reviews that if you do get a third-party cable, you will definitely see a huge improvement in sound. But for this review and for my demonstration and everything, I've only got this cable to work with, so this is only what I've used. One thing I don't like about this is this, I don't know what you call this, this limiter thingamajig. It's really loose, so it just, I don't know how you can get this to work properly. I don't use it, but for somebody who wants to know, this isn't really, it doesn't hold well. The cable itself is really slim, it's really flexible, that's pretty nice. As far as cable noise, I haven't really noticed any detriment to the sound quality as far as cable noise and all, so that's okay. That's actually pretty good. So here's the connector. We got the single-ended connector here, and this connector is really good. It's made out of metal, so the build quality wise and everything, materials used, they are pretty good. Now let's talk about the sound quality. I'll just go ahead and put them down here, and I'll go ahead and focus on these actually, if that's better. So I've used these with my Cord Electronics Hugo 2. I've also used them with my smartphone. I've also used them with my laptop. And with my smartphone, they do have just a tiny little bit of hiss. It's just very small, so it's not really all that bad. But they didn't sound really good, and that's because my phone is actually really bad. So make sure you get like a decent quality output, so you can get better sound. Now when I used them with the laptop, there was just way too much power coming out, so it was just hiss, a lot of hiss, and that wasn't very good, but it sounded pretty good. I didn't use them with my laptop all that much after I noticed the amount of power coming out, so I stopped using them. I mainly use these with my Cord Electronics Hugo 2 to listen to my main music, and that's my main hi-fi rig, so that's what I used them with. And I plugged these directly into the Hugo 2, and they didn't have all that much hiss, which is something I didn't expect. So it's very quiet. It's actually probably more quiet than the smartphone, and they sounded absolutely amazing with that. But as you know, with the Cord Electronics Hugo 2, it does sound absolutely amazing. It is a really high-end DAC, and as well as it has a class A amplifier, so it does sound really good. Now these are using a 10mm dynamic driver, which is carbon based. It's called a DOC driver. I'm not sure 100% on what exactly it is, but apparently it's a new improvement of a dynamic driver, just like the beryllium based dynamic driver as well. So this is supposed to be much lighter and much faster, and it really does show in the sound quality. So these are both using a single 10mm dynamic driver, so you're gonna need a little bit of juice to get these going. But I do find even with weaker outputs, they sound okay. It's just that the lower end is not going to be as good, and is not going to be as controlled. Now let's talk about the actual sound quality. I'm going to talk about the technical parts first, then I'll talk about the subjective parts. I've noticed with other reviewers that they use music to describe the sound. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you a sort of general idea of what it sounds, and then you can use your imagination, and then you can just implement it into how that would sound in your music. At least that's how I work all the time, and it's always worked for me, and it's pretty much good. So the bass on these is excellent. They do need a little bit of burning in, but the bass gets going. It's really good. They have really good control over the bass, and it's pretty fast. The texture is pretty nice as well, and it does go really low. Compared to the head audio headphones that I use all the time, these have a more extension, so they do have a lot of the sub end. And the impact of the bass is also pretty good. I've noticed that the mid bass actually has a little bit more emphasis over the sub bass, so the guitar strings and everything, they sound really good. Now the mid bass on this has a little bit more emphasis over the sub bass, so the bass strings sound really good, and the bass does have a really good amount of body and everything, so it sounds pretty nice. Now the mids are a little bit of a miss and hit. What I will say is that from a technical point of view, the mids on these are absolutely sublime. They do have a lot of detail, they're really fast, and they have a lot of clarity. But the tuning on these is just a bit weird. So these have a slightly V-shaped sound signature, so the mids do drop off. But the higher mids, they are much better than the normal usual mids. And as far as the higher frequencies go, I've definitely heard much better. The headphones are obviously on another level. I will say they're not the best. Sometimes it sounds really harsh. I think it might be this cable. I definitely think if you get like a silver cable, that will definitely have an improvement in the high frequencies. So it could be the cable. But the high frequencies, again, I've heard the best. They're not terrible, but I mean, they're not amazing. I don't think they EQ'd very nicely. But the quality of the highs, as far as like from a technical point of view, this is pretty good. I just want to touch on the soundstage. These have a humongous soundstage. It's very wide, and it has a lot of depth. I just want to talk about the subjective sound quality a little bit. I've been using these with all sorts of different music genres. I've listened to heavy metal, I've listened to rock, I've listened to pop, I've listened to jazz, I've listened to classical music, I've listened to some opera, I've listened to binaural recordings. I'm not sure what exactly I've missed out on actually. I have listened to a little bit of dance music, but I can't really touch 100% on that. I have not listened to soundtracks and that sort of music, but I have listened to a little bit of classical. From my experience, everything works just really well. The only thing is these have the V-shaped sound signature, so they do sound a little more vivid. And unlike something that's more neutral sounding, this is not as easy to listen to. So one of the biggest things that stands out is because of how the mids are really tuned. The mids are like, again, it's a V-shaped sound signature, so the mids are going low, but the higher mids, they are really good. So when it comes to the vocals, it sounds absolutely amazing. Like, it's really clear, but depending on the recording you listen to, it's actually either going to sound really good, a little up front, or the vocals are just not going to sound all that impressive. So there is a little bit of inconsistency in the recordings and the way they sound because of how these are tuned. If I compare these to the TinHiFi P1s, everything on the P1 sounds fine, sounds normal, because they have a very neutral sound signature. And also with the Belon 05 and the Belon 03, they also have a sort of a neutral sound signature with a slight emphasis on the bass. And they sound pretty good as well, so they don't have that inconsistency which these do. Now that being said, I did enjoy the sound out of these. So there is a V-shaped sound signature. So the mids do have absolutely amazing clarity and everything, but because of the tuning, I'm going to say again, there is a little bit of a dodgy sound on some of the recordings. So if you listen to male vocalists, they tend to have a lower sound, a lower pitch, and so these will make them sound a little far back. I did listen to Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and that sounded really good, because it does have the vocalist James Hetfield, he was shouting really loudly, and it was really apparent, because that takes advantage of the higher mids on these, so that's pretty good. Some things in the soundtrack, some things in the soundstage do sound a little far in the distance, and at times I do feel like they shouldn't, but they do. The soundstage is, again, humongous. It's huge. It's really good. So the soundstage on this is absolutely amazing. Now on CD quality music, I noticed that the higher frequencies sounded just really harsh and everything. If you look at the cymbals, the cymbals on some recordings, again, like Death, the heavy metal band, from their recordings, it sounds pretty good. It sounds okay. But if you listen to Iron Maiden, then there's definitely a room for improvement there. Let's talk about different genres of music. For rock, these are really good. For heavy metal, if you're going to turn the volume up a little bit, which obviously you are going to because it's heavy metal, these will sound really good. The electric guitar on this doesn't sound the best it could. because of the V-shaped sound signature, but that's pretty much what you'd expect from a sound signature like this. Detail wise, again technically, the dynamic driver in this is actually pretty good. It's really fast, which I didn't expect. It's not as good as the planar drivers in the P1s, but it does a really good job with the clarity and just detail retrieval. That is pretty nice. The EQing on this doesn't really work all that well with brighter recordings because it can sound a little velvety, so it does have a sort of like an AKM tack shape sound to it a little bit. Pop on this, I haven't listened to a lot of it, but it sounds pretty nice. Jazz on this sounds really good with the emphasis on the lower frequencies. Classical music also sounds really good. The vocals in an opera recording or something like that sound really good. So I was listening to Carmen. It does sound really good on this. In fact, it's sort of blowing it a little bit out of proportion because I did listen to it on the headphones and they sound a lot more faithful to the actual recording. These are making the soundstage just, it's just expanding it. The other thing is instrument separation on this is actually excellent as well. By the way, sorry for the background noise if you can hear any of that. So the only bad thing I can say about these is that because of this tuning, because of the sound signature, for me, I don't find them as easy to listen to as the P1s or the headphones or the Sundaras. But apart from that, the technical sound and also the enjoyment and the vividness of the sound that they give is actually really good. And I do really like them for that. So if I was to recommend either these or the Belon 05, which are pretty much neck and neck with this, these are the better in your monitors, but you'd mainly be looking at the sound signature. Do you want a V-shaped sound signature or a more of a neutral sound signature from the Belon 05? So you can go ahead and pick one of that. The price is $130, which is about £100. I'd consider these entry level. While these do have a small shortcomings, they do have a lot of positives as well. When it comes to at least the technical point of view, the sound is really good. I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here because it's just been long enough. If you guys have any questions, if there's anything that I missed out on, just ask me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video.